All right, all right, all right. This party is getting started once again. It is so good to be here with you guys. Let me see if I can't turn this music off. Yes, I can. And we are back. This is Keeping It Cool with Coach Powell Training Development, also called Coffee Tea, You and Me. This is my Friday expose for entrepreneurs, business leaders, superchargers of all types coming from all places. And we have got some exciting opportunities today for you. Before I do anything else, I need to thank profusely my sponsors, and there are two so far. I'm looking for more. Right now, Shumate Engineering is the leading sponsor, focusing on helping everybody in the world and in our community do better by process of wonderful engineering, making sure they're doing the things they need to do to create cleaner systems, strategies, and opportunities for other small businesses all over the world, up to including leading the pack with HDAC. HDAC is a wonderful system that Shoemade Engineering has created for data centers that allow them to be cleaner, to burn less energy, to make sure that they're doing everything they can to preserve local environment and water supply and all that kind of good stuff. They're the answer to a lot of the issues and the dramas that the hyperscalers are dealing with right now when it comes to building and creating profitable, manageable, and environmentally safe data centers. So I'm looking forward to talking to you more about that. In fact, if you look in the chat, you're going to see an invitation to join me tomorrow morning. We have created a full day training seminar literally to help community leaders understand how to move forward with technology responsibly. It doesn't matter if you're a church leader or if you're a community environmentalist or if you are a zoning professional or an engineer or any type of data center professional and you want to find out how to engage and work with the community better and you want to be a better steward of the community's resources, then you need to take this course. Now, it's a full day course. I got to tell you, you got to literally give up a Saturday. We're teaching this course all over the country. We happen to be here in Northern Virginia tomorrow morning. Probably after that, we won't back to Northern Virginia for a couple of months. But we're going to go throughout the state of Virginia, Maryland, DC. We're going to be teaching this course to entrepreneurs, business leaders, people who are really, really interested in environmental justice, people who care about the communities they live in and they care about how those communities operate within guidelines that are driven by and from the community in order to make sure that everything is working safely and smoothly. Yes, we're going to teach you how to put together community business agreements. We're going to teach you how to break open those NDAs and make sure that you're not dealing with a whole bunch of top secret stuff going on in your organizations and in your world. And even those who are in government centered strategies and processes, they can learn so much from this course. So I imply to you, if you know someone who should be taking this course, give them the link that's in the chat over to your that way. So, and you'll figure it out, how to get involved with the course. And if you're interested in finding out more about the course, hit me up. My number is scrolling across the screen. You can text me and just mention community AI tech and environmental justice. For short, just say environmental justice course. And I'll make sure that I get you whatever information whenever we're going to do it next in your area, wherever that area is. Because we're looking to go everywhere with this course. Second thing I want to tell you about is if you're in Northern Virginia area, and you are a networker, you like networking, you enjoy networking, and you've gotten a lot out of participating in networking, I want you here at the Tower Club. The next Thursday night, August the 6th, we are going to be teaching and training and developing the magic sources for networkers who need to take their networking strategy on steroids. Not only are we teaching you how to look for and find your highest value clients, we're teaching you how to invite the right people to your advisory council, how to make sure you have the right investors aligned with you, how to improve everything up and down the supply chain of whatever industry that you're going in through the quality of developing professional relationships and doing it well at a very, very high level. Don't come if you are scared of people. All right. Because if you are scared of people, we can't help you. That you might need to sit on the couch somewhere and get some therapy. But if you know you need to work with people better and develop stronger, more strategic relationships to move your business forward, then you're going to want to attend this, and we're going to have some breakthrough ideas that are coming through that you've never seen anywhere else. I promise you. So I look forward to seeing you at the Tower Club. You want to come through, you want to get a ticket, it's in the chat. So make sure that you link in the chat and you get involved with that. There are some people who are trying to communicate with me and they know I'm on the show right now. Anyway, um, I'm going to turn this on the silent, that way I don't have to be disturbed. So now, thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for engaging. Whether you are watching this live or you're watching this on demand later on, I realize there's a little problem with my LinkedIn connection right now. So I will rebroadcast the show for today's show on LinkedIn, literally right after we close up and everything gets recorded. And I'll go ahead and rebroadcast it again on LinkedIn so everybody can get a chance to see that. If you haven't seen it on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to go back to and refer to it on LinkedIn. Today's show is super special, like every show, right? I say it's super special, but today's show really is super special because we're telling a story today. We're going to share with you an actual business story. Now, the story isn't true, meaning the names have been changed, the situations have been changed so that we can protect the innocent, right? But the issues remain the same. Last week we started talking about the five shifts. How do you shift from survival mode to thrival mode? And we got involved with the details of those five shifts. We went right into the strategy, the systems, the setup. So if you want to find out a lot about the five shifts, you got to go back and watch last week's episode. This week, we're going to break open the five shifts again, but we're going to do it from a different approach. We're going to tell you the story of a fabulous young lady who did some amazing things with the five shifts system. And we're also going to share with you a wonderful assessment that you can take for yourself to begin to understand how these shifts might work in your life. But in order to get the assessment, you gotta call me, you gotta text me, you gotta DM me somewhere. You gotta let me know you want the five shifts. Write it down, put it in the chat. The five shifts. If you tell me who you are, where you're coming from, how to get in contact with you, I will send you your personal copy of the whole five shift training process, including Lauren's story, including the assessment, including resources that you could read, all the backup details for the neurological perspective that you could possibly imagine. All of that is going to be there, but you got to ask for it. I really can't just give it to you without you asking for it. And if you ask me for it, I promise I will give it to you. It's free, and I will give it to anybody who wants it. But I want to make sure you really do want it and you really are going to pay attention to it, because I'm not in the habit of just throwing out information and advice and that I don't want people to involve and engage with me in creating and in doing something with. So if you do me that luxury, do me that favor of paying attention to the five shifts after I give it to you, and promising me you're going to do at least something or grow, use it for something, even if you're going to give it to somebody else. I'll make sure you get a nice digital copy of the whole program. Is that fair enough deal? Okay, that's fair enough. All right, let's get the party started. Oh, before we get started, if you are finding this resource for the first time or the second time or the third time and you haven't shared it with a friend who you know is in business, either they're in business for themselves or they're higher up in business for somebody else, you need to do that. Go ahead and share it. Go ahead and thumbs up it. Go ahead and give some feedback or share some a resource with someone else. I don't want you to keep this a secret. I don't certainly don't want to keep it a secret to myself. And so I want you to make sure that we do this. Oh, the second sponsor I didn't talk to you about. The second sponsor is my beautiful brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. In fact, let me just throw that hat on. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Looking good. Anyway, the brothers of Phi Beta Sigma Theta Tau chapters here in Northern Virginia are my all-time favorites, and they bless and almost everything I do. They make sure that we are rocking and rolling with our bigger and better business committee, and we are doing what we can do to take care of specifically local businesses here. So if you know a local business owner who needs support, who needs a challenge, who needs an opportunity, have them reach out to me. We'll talk to them about some of the business programs we have available for small businesses. Okay, let's get the party started. Let's talk about Lauren. Let me tell you who Lauren is and why Lauren is special. Lauren has spent the last 20 years developing data center. She knew how to read land, power, fiber permits, water, cooling, contracts, risk, and timing. She knew everything about her business from the front to the back. She knew how to stand in front of an investor and explain why a building that did not exist could become a mission critical engine for someone else's future. She had built her name by solving hard problems in a hard industry. But Lauren was not only carrying the demands of development, she was also a single mother of two, rebuilding her life after a messy divorce from the college sweetheart she once thought would be there with her forever. When the market shifted, capital tightened, customer delayed commitments, larger competitors absorbed deals she used to win, and one project stalled because the utility capacity changed. Another project fell apart because of due diligence. Another project, a third, took a promising, uh, looked promising until the financing partner pulled back. At that time, Lauren was managing a custody schedule, school uniforms, forms, late night homework questions, a private grief of a marriage that had ended painfully and publicly, even enough to leave her careful about whom and how she trusted. By the end of that season, Lauren's company was no longer the confident boutique developer people called first. It was a small surviving business with a thin pipeline, a tired team, a founder who was caring more than she admitted. If you'd asked her how she was doing, she would have said, "We're fine. We're being disciplined. We're staying lean." But privately, she checked cash every morning right before she prayed. Then she checked the family calendar to make sure no child was left waiting after practice or school. And she reviewed the same spreadsheet night after night after everyone else had gone home and after the house had finally gotten quiet. She answered every client email herself because she was afraid no one would handle the details and that could cost her the next opportunity. She told her team she wanted them empowered, but she kept pulling decisions back to her desk. She had become the estimator, the strategist, the closer, the problem solver, the culture carrier, and the emotional first responder, as well as a parent trying to make sure her children still felt safe while everyone around them was changing. Survival had become her strategy. And the problem with survival is that it can look responsible from the outside. Lauren was not reckless. She was not lazy. She was not indifferent. She was working harder than ever, but her business was shrinking around her nervous system, and so was her life. Every decision was urgent. Every risk felt like a threat. Every person felt like a dependency she could not afford to trust. And every opportunity filtered through the question, what if this goes wrong? That question had followed her from her divorce to the court to client calls, from school pickups to investor meetings. One Friday evening, Lauren sat alone in her conference room after a difficult call. A customer had postponed a decision to move forward yet once again. Her led her operations lead had asked her for clarity on whom owned a permitting issue, and Lauren had snapped, "I'll handle it." The room was quiet except for the hum of the building. On the screen in front of her was a project tracker with too many red boxes and too few names beside them that weren't Lauren. On her phone was a text reminder about one child's weekend schedule and another note from a teacher she had not yet answered. This was the moment she finally told herself the truth. I am not building a company anymore. I am personally preventing one from collapsing. That confession alone became the beginning of her turnaround. Lauren did not fix everything at once. She started with 5 shifts. First, she shifted from urgency to vision. Instead of beginning every week with a crisis list, she wrote a 1 page vision for the kind of company they were becoming, a trusted regional developer known for disciplined site selection, resilient partnerships, and projects that could actually get built. That vision changed her meetings. It changed which deals they pursued. It gave the team permission to say no to opportunities that only looked attractive because they were loud. The second shift she made was from heroics to systems. She documented the development process from site screening to utility review to financing checkpoints. She named decision rights. She built a weekly risk review so the team could surface problems before they became emergencies. The first time she took a full afternoon away and the company did not stop, she realized we're not stealing her leadership, they were multiplying it. Third, she shifted from scarcity to abundance. This does not mean pretending the numbers were easy. They were not. It meant Lauren stopped letting fear be the loudest voice in the room. She began asking, what assets do we already have? What relationships have we neglected? What partnerships could create value neither party could create alone? What question led that question led to a joint venture with a power advisory firm, then to a smaller but profitable retrofit project that restored confidence. Fourth, she shifted from isolation to community. She joined a small circle of founders who were honest about cash pressures, fatigue, staffing, family strain, and faith. She invited a former client to serve as an advisor. She gave her operations lead permission to challenge her when she started pulling everything back to herself. She also let a few trusted people know how hard it had been to parent through a divorce while rebuilding a company. Community did not make her less accountable, it made her less alone. The fifth shift she made it was from exhaustion to alignment. Lauren stopped measuring devotion by depletion. She rebuilt her calendar around deep work, decision windows, rest, and the relationships that reminded her why the business mattered, including the 2 children who needed her more than a provider. They needed her to be a present mother. She stopped saying yes to every possible deal and started asking, is this aligned with who we are called to become? A year later, Lauren's company was not merely surviving, it was growing again. The team was smaller than before, but healthier. The pipeline was narrower, but stronger. The work was still demanding, but it was no longer built on panic. At home, life was not perfect, but it was steadier. Lauren had not discovered an easier industry or an easier personal story. She had become a different kind of leader inside the same industry and a more grounded person inside the life she'd been given. And that's why her story matters to us today. Because many leaders do not lead they don't need one more technique for moving faster. They need a way to move from reaction to renewal. They need a way to lead beyond the emergency of the moment. Lauren's story reminds us that surviving and thriving are not just business conditions, they are leadership postures. And the moment and the movement from one to another begins with the 5 shifts. So that's Lauren's story. What do you take away from Lauren's story? What I take away is it's important that you must realize that when survival has become your strategy, that is a choice. You can choose to thrive. Now, I realize that it's hard and it's difficult to do. But if you embrace the five shifts, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do it. Again, we talked about the five shifts last week. I'm not going to go into deep details about what they are, but I'm going to share with you some examples from the assessment that we've created based on the program that help you make the deep transformation and renew your leadership from the inside out. There's some deep neuroscience behind this. And again, you can see all the academic resources and things we use to pull this together uh, inside the document itself, inside the program itself. And I want to ask you a couple questions. You don't have to answer these questions. These are all open-ended questions, but I want you to think about them for yourself right now. Which of the five shifts feel most urgent for you? One, are you driven by urgency when you need vision? Two, are you relying on heroics when you need systems? Three, are you protecting from scarcity when you have been invited into abundance? Four, are you carrying leadership alone when you really need community? And finally, are you exhausted when you are being called back into alignment? If Lauren were to take the pause to answer these questions, and she did, she might have circled all five of these things. But her breakthrough began when she stopped shaming herself for the signals and started treating them as invitations. The red boxes on her project tracker were not proof that she had failed, they were signs showing where real renewal needed to begin. The goal is not to fix everything at once, but transformation usually begins with one honest signal and one faithful step. So when you think of yourself and you think of yourself and ask yourself the questions, where am I surviving and where am I thriving? This assessment that we've put together can help you make the move. It can help you to have a very clear vision that guides your daily decisions. It can help you make regular decisions based on purpose rather than pressure. You can measure progress by alignment with vision versus just activity or busyness. You know, I'm a big guy when it comes to lead versus lag measurement of activity, right? We could talk more about that later if you ask me about it. All right. There's also heroics in the systems. When you are acting as a hero, it's hard for you to embrace systems and tools and strategies that are functional that can exist without you because you want to be. It's an ego thing, right? But you need documented and key processes that keep your work, your business, or your ministry moving. You need routine tools and systems to reduce repeated decision making. You're taking a lot of the neurological pressure off of yourself when you have systems that do the work or do the thinking or do make help you with the decision making process. You don't have to do all that all the time, every time at bat. And moving from scarcity to abundance, right? It's about making decisions from faith, wisdom, and opportunity versus just a fear of loss. I can't tell you how many times I bump into that with people. They're just scared to lose. And when you ask them questions about their belief system, or you ask them questions about what they know in terms of their insight to be true, and what they understand is factual about an opportunity that is in front of them, it's the fear that keeps them from seeing that. And the minute they can let that fear go, the minute they start to see the truth that's in front of them and the opportunities in front of them, and they begin to know how to articulate the opportunities that are in front of them. One of the things I know that I love to embrace personally in my business and in my industries, I practice gratitude. And I notice signs of provision, possibility, and progress because of it, because I make it a part of my daily practice. It helps me understand, oh my God, this is an opportunity that I didn't see before. This is something that I could take advantage of, and I can figure out how to leverage, and I can figure out how to make this more valuable than ever, right? It makes me aware of what I have and what's meaningful in what I already have, more than control, but I'm talking about established authority over, right? And then the shift from isolation to community. It's true. We all need to have trusted people who we can encourage and who can encourage us, we can challenge, who can challenge us, who we can support and who can support us back. If you have people in your network who don't fit all of those definitions, well, then you may want to adjust how you deal with them. You may want to make push them further and further out from constant and communication and engagement with you. You want to bring the people closer to you that it can encourage you, that can challenge you, and that can support you. And also people that you could encourage, you can challenge, and you can support. You need to look for win-win relationships, not just relationships where you become the dominant person that's providing everything, but relationships that can easily become back and forth. You provide, you challenge, they challenge, you encourage, they encourage, you support, they support. You understand what I'm saying? So you ask for people to help you before a crisis arrives. That means you got to build that relationship, right? And when the crisis does happen, then you have people who have your back, who can carry the weight of whatever the crisis might be, and vice versa. Participate in communities that align with your mission and your values. Invite wise feedback rather than carrying leadership alone. Create space for collaboration, shared learning, and mutual accountability. When you're making the shift from exhaustion to alignment, you got to find places where your calendar reflects your values, your calling, and your God given priorities. Let me say that again. If you're moving from exhaustion, which many of us are, to alignment, what you got to do is make sure the spaces on your calendar are reflective of the values that you practice and that you care about, the calling that you believe in, the destiny where you think you are destined to go based on your talents and your gifts, not just your passions. Passion's helpful, but passion without resources, meaning the talents, the gifts, the support that you need to move you forward, is a frustration, right? So you want to make sure your passion, your talents, and your gifts are aligned to your God-given priorities, and you need to understand what is are your priorities: first, second, third, fourth. If everything is a priority, nothing is, right? So you have to do that work. Maintain healthy boundaries around your time, your energy, your availability. Regularly rest, reflect, and renew your spirit. I have a whole program I wrote around rest, reflection, and renewal. Right? I can dig it up somewhere. I'm always writing training for something or another. Um, you have to know how to name what is yours to carry, and what is not yours to carry. And if you can't, again, back to figuring out those priorities, those values, that alignment, then you don't really know. You try to carry it all. Why? Allow someone else the opportunity to grow stronger, take some of this weight. And finally, when you're growing from exhaustion to alignment, your daily work needs to leave you more aligned with purpose rather than more depleted by pressure. If you find yourself having a hard time going to sleep because, oh my God, today was so wonderful and you're so grateful and you're so aligned with everything that happened, that's a good problem to have rather than just, I can't sleep because I got too much pressure, too much worry, too much activity that is not driving me towards any level of success. It's just jumping around the rat race. I'm just surviving. I'm not thriving. So now when you take this assessment, some of which I just described, you're going to get a score. That score is going to lead you to do a couple things. You might realize in one area you're operating mostly in survival mode, and then you have to begin with one faithful practice. You might have a developing area where you need to strengthen it, right? With intentional rhythms, support, and consistency. You may already have a super strong area where you just want to refine it and look for ways to multiply it. And finally, some areas you're going to have such a strong alignment that all you now have to do is steward it with humility and use it to serve others. No matter what your shift that you need to be making and where you need to strengthen your area right now, the most important thing is that you pay attention to it and you nurture it and you use the systems that we share with you to guide yourself forward. And if you haven't understood anything that I'm going to have here to share with you today, there's two things I want you to take away. What questions you should ask yourself over the next 7 days? What one faithful step will you take to shift something of one of the five shifts? One faithful step that you'll take to make one of the five shifts work better for you. And then who is one person that you will invite to help you become accountable to support the shift? If you do that, then you'll be able to ask the right kinds of questions to yourself that lead you to the right kinds of solutions. You'll move from surviving questions that go, well, how do I get through this? To thriving questions that go, who am I becoming as I steward this? Who am I becoming as I move toward my destiny? Who am I becoming as I pick up my God given responsibility to my community, my family, my leadership opportunities, and so on and so forth? That question changes everything. It moves you from reaction to renewal, from pressure to purpose, from isolation to belonging, and from striving to surrendering impact. I hope you guys got a lot out of today's talk. I know I did. I enjoyed it tremendously. If you want the whole five shifts program, definitely reach out to me. Definitely take the number across the screen, text me, DM me. You know, I try to be open and honest with who I contact and how I contact them. Um, and if you want to do the homework, if you want an assignment, if you're looking for a coach, you might want to check out your boy. Now, I don't take everybody because I can't. I don't have the capacity, but I do have the capacity to take industry leaders, people who whatever your industry is. If you've been in business for 10, 15 years or more, and you reach that wall where you're trying to figure out how do I break through, how do I take it to the next level, I got something for you that I guarantee will work. I'm not doing the work for you. I'll help you do the work. Okay. You know how to reach me. You know how to find me. You know what's going on. It's been a great day. It's a little short program today, but I want you to take today's program and then go back and watch last week's program. And you'll have a fuller understanding of the five shifts. Next week, I got something really even more exciting for you, but you're going to have to wait, come back and see to find out. All right, guys. God bless you. I'm out of here. We had a great time. Talk to you soon.